What's up everybody, Maran here for another weekly update. So there is a ton of news to go over and it's all very exciting news. It's got multiple stories this week, have me doing a little happy dance. This is going to be some awesome stuff. So anyway, first thing is Cadillac has officially put out a press release this week confirming that the new higher performing versions of the CT5V and CT4V will be called Blackwing. So it'll be CT5V Blackwing and CT4V Blackwing. A little bit long, but still kind of a cool name and better than some random letter or something. And so that's pretty sweet. And unfortunately, though, they're not going to be using the Blackwing twin turbo V8. So kind of weird that they're calling that engine a Blackwing, but then these cars are called the Blackwing, but it's not going to actually use the Blackwing. But anyway, still should be amazing. The CT5V Blackwing is going to likely use the 6.2 liter supercharged V8 that's in the Camaro ZL1 and also in the Corvette Z06 and also the previous gen CTS-V. And so, yeah, thankfully, it's also been confirmed, Cadillac confirmed in their press release here that it'll be available with a manual transmission, which is also amazing. So as you heard, there's those nice long pauses in between those shifts, reaffirming the fact that it has a manual transmission. Now it'll probably have a 10-speed automatic as well for those who want it, but still, just the fact there's an option for a manual is awesome. I mean, you know, with like this CT4V that's competing with like an M3 or something, that, you know, having a manual is awesome, but you also do have like the new M3, which BMW has committed to doing a manual on that as well. So it's not like a Cadillac will have the only thing, but as far as the CT5V, you know, competing with the bigger stuff like the M5 and things like that, you know, with those, none of those offer a manual anymore. And so this is really the only game in town. And to do it combined with a supercharged V8, oh man, I'm really excited for these cars. So anyway, the CT4V is most likely going to use the same twin turbo V6 as the ATS-V, and again have the manual as well. But Cadillac's official little bit of the description they have for the Blackwing so far says they will be track capable, ultra high performance models that feature specially tuned chassis, vehicle control technologies, and engines. The only other info they added here, though, is they said that during testing at VIR earlier this year, both cars were faster than their predecessors, which no surprise there. The only downside, though, is there's a tiny footnote in the press release that says the Blackwing models will have limited availability, which is a little bit of a dose of cold water on this otherwise awesome news. So limited availability, I mean, BMW doesn't limit the, you know, M3s or anything. Mercedes doesn't limit the C63 AMG Plus models or anything like that, you know. So I don't know why they would limit this. It's just, I hope that they do enough of them so they're not price gouged out of affordability for people that could usually afford these types of vehicles. Hopefully it's reasonable and there's a lot of them out there so as many people as possible can enjoy it. So we'll have to see. Also, why go to the trouble of developing something that's going to be so expensive to develop and then only make, you know, a few hundred of them or whatever? Anyway, I'm going to just hold off on that criticism for now. Hopefully they build a ton of these things and it'll all be good. And otherwise, like I said, just fantastic they're offering a manual because no one else is. Other awesome news, kind of going the opposite way on the transmission spectrum, Hyundai's N division officially confirmed through an Instagram video that the Veloster N is going to be getting an 8-speed wet clutch, dual clutch automatic transmission in the Veloster N. Now this is going to be in addition to the manual, so don't worry, the manual is still safe. But now it's going to have a dual clutch as well. And you can also see it also reveals these racier seats with illuminated badges. Hopefully those seats actually come to the US version. And there's also this feature they're introducing called the N Grin Shift. And it looks like it includes a timer and could possibly be some type of like overboost function similar to Porsche's Sport Response button. That's what it looks like to me. And in the promo video there, they're calling it a 2020 model, but it's almost certainly going to be a 2021 model vehicle because, again, we are, you know, only a couple months away from the 2021s arriving, and especially with everything being delayed, there is no way this is going to make it in time to be a 2020. But anyway, very cool to see that, and yeah, I mean, I think, you know, you think about how many more sales the Volkswagen GTI had once they introduced the awesome, you know, dual clutch automatic in those, and how many people now buy DSG GTIs versus 6-speed manuals. And even if it's a 50-50 split, you're doubling your sales here by introducing this dual clutch. And so hopefully that means there'll be a lot more Veloster N's on the road, because it's an awesome car, 100% deserves to be bought by anyone looking for a hot hatch around 30 grand or less. It's a fantastic car. And interestingly, I've been keeping an eye on the used market on Veloster N's, a random side note. And there's some Veloster N's with the performance package going for right around or slightly under 25 grand already. So, it's getting even more affordable. And so, yes, a very enticing thing. I still love the Veloster N. Anyway, for some other Korean car news, Australian website Car Sales has a new report this week describing some of the changes for the Kia Stinger for the 2021 model year. It's in line to be getting a refresh here for 2021. And it's supposedly going to be coming this summer. And so it's, I think, rumored to be like a July launch this summer is what Korean Car Blog was saying. But anyway, the rumors previously suggested that the Stinger is going to be getting the new Genesis engines, meaning you have like the 2.5 liter turbocharged 4, which does almost 300 horsepower. That would be the new base motor. And then the 3.5 liter twin turbo V6 that's in the higher Genesis models that does 380 horsepower, that would be the upgraded motor for the Stinger. And rumors were even saying it could go up to like 400 horsepower or something for that. So this car sales site seems to be toning that back a little bit. Their sources claim the Stinger will be getting a little bit more power, but it won't be much, and it'll just be only thanks to a new dual mode exhaust. And the dual mode exhaust part is legit, because the Korean Car Blog actually has spy shots, which I'll link in the description below, showing a Kia Stinger with way bigger exhaust tips than what they usually have, and shows that that's evidence of that dual mode exhaust that's coming. Which I really love the Kia Stinger. Speaking of other vehicles I love the Stinger, and with a dual mode exhaust, it would be basically perfect. I think that would make it even better. And so you can go check out those pictures in the description. And so we'll have to see who's right, either this car sales site or, Korean Car Blog, because supposedly the Genesis motors, they make sense to me, and Korean Car Blog supposedly had unofficial confirmation from Kia executives that was the game plan, was to use the Genesis motors. So we'll have to see. But other discoveries about the 2021 Stinger, for those that are curious, Korean Car Blog also is reporting it's going to get the same 10.25-inch touchscreen widescreen display for the infotainment, which is, no surprise there. They're rolling that out to everything, and the Stinger certainly deserves it. And they also say the gauges are going to be digital. Again, something you see probably will be similar to the K900 and models like that. The spy pics also show tweaks to the front LED daytime running lights and the rear lights, and those will actually be including a sequential turn signal. You can see that also in the link below if you're curious. And so, yeah, supposedly that reveal is going to be happening in July, according to Korean Car Blog. We'll have to see if that timeline holds, again, with everything being pushed back left and right with the current events going on. So we'll have to see. But still, sounds like a really good update to the Stinger. Will be a great upgrade for those current Stinger buyers. And for someone that's on the fence like myself, something like that could be very tempting as well. So awesome to see that. Autocar this week has a little update for the Nissan Z news and all the speculation that's been happening over the past few weeks. So they have a new report this week that claim that they believe the next gen Z will be called the 400Z. No surprise there, really, if it's going to do about 400 horsepower. But they also claim it's going to be revealed within the next 12 months. And they said originally it had been planned for a reveal by the end of this year, which kind of sounds like an LA Auto Show reveal or something to me, and has now possibly been pushed into 2021, of course, with the pandemic and everything. So maybe it would be like a New York auto show debut next year or something else. Geneva also makes a lot of sense, next March or something like that. So we'll have to see, but that's basically all that they say. Otherwise, they kind of agree with all the other previous rumors. They're agreeing that it's going to run the Infiniti 3-liter twin-turbo V6, but they did add that there's a good chance there'll be a Nismo version, which would do even more than 400 horsepower. So that would be something they say would be much easier, of course, for them to get more power out of that motor. And so we'll have to wait and see, but interesting to hear that as well. And Car and Driver this week has several different reports. They have a new May 2020 issue out that's talking about, vehicles worth waiting for here in the next few years. So there's a bunch of speculation from Car and Driver and various reports from them this week. The first new report from Car and Driver is about the next gen Mazda 6. And so we heard a lot of this stuff last year. Mazda's annual report last year, financial report, officially confirmed that there's already going to be a new large architecture they're working on that would be rear-wheel drive and use a longitudinal straight-six Skyactiv X engine along with a diesel straight-six engine. So that stuff's already been confirmed confirmed by Mazda, done deal. That's just also included in this Car and Driver report. The Car and Driver's report adds a few other details from their sources. They claim it'll be paired with a 48-volt mild hybrid system, which also, is something that Mazda has talked about doing. And they say the highest power version of this powertrain setup would do about 350 horsepower, which is solid numbers. The engine supposedly is being developed with Toyota's help as well. Mazda and Toyota do have a technical partnership. And they say that it could arrive for next-gen versions of the Lexus IS and RC. So now we're talking about Mazda and Toyota sharing engines, as well as just kind of working on some small stuff and, rebadging a car here and there with the Toyota Yaris and the Mazda 2 and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of an interesting thing for them to claim. I'll get to that in a second. But their report at Car and Driver even goes so far as to claim there's a chance that Mazda will make a two-door version of the new Mazda 6 that'll be on this architecture. So a two-door rear-wheel drive vehicle that looks like the RX Vision concept, but will have a straight 6 engine with 350 horsepower possibly. Although it's not an RX-8, or an RX-9, I guess, it's not going to be a rotary engine thing. If they did do something like this, still having an awesome rear-wheel drive sports coupe would be very cool. And it just goes towards, Mazda looking to have this more luxury kind of branding to them. And that'd be nice. I still feel like if Mazda's going to make some type of sports coupe, it should have a rotary engine. Anyway, maybe it's just the traditionalist in me. But so other stuff here. So it is interesting the Car and Driver is claiming this motor is going to go in the IS and RC, because first off, the RC wasn't on Lexus's leaked product plan that we got from that dealer meeting a couple weeks back. So the RC didn't seem to be super secure in its future. But if Car and Driver is right, and I hope they are, because having a coupe is awesome, at least Mazda will be getting that engine and, using stuff with it. But the Lexus IS also, there's supposed to be a new next-gen version coming next year. And so a Car and Driver is claiming this new Mazda 6 wouldn't be coming until 2022. So I doubt that Lexus would get the motor before Mazda does. Although Lexus is probably footing a lot of the bill for this engine, so maybe that entitles them to getting the engine first. I don't know, but it just seems unlikely. It sounds more likely like this next-gen IS will probably use Lexus engines and Lexus platform, but then the next-gen version they're suggesting coming in 2026 or something, that could potentially get all this new stuff. But that's way far out, so we'll have to wait and see. But obviously, the talk of Toyota working on a straight 6 engine, I think that there's a potential future for this engine in a Supra, maybe a next-gen version of a Supra. Strap some turbos to that engine, and you finally have made all the Supra purists happy, and all the Supra haters will hopefully be happy about an engine that is an actual straight 6, partially developed by Toyota and Mazda, and would be, again, very fitting for a Supra. But we'll have to wait and see. Again, that's just me going out on a limb, but would be a kind of a nice coincidence if that lines up. For some official Toyota news this week, though, in Japan, they revealed the 2021 Toyota Harrier, and they just revealed some pictures online. They say a full reveal is coming sometime in June. And so this name's not going to come to the U.S. Because the Harrier name has been around for the Japanese market for a while. But there's a decent chance the vehicle you're looking at here is the new Toyota Venza. So the Venza's return leaked out in that recent dealer presentation that I keep referring to here. And so the new Harrier is on the TNGA-K platform, and in Japan there's a hybrid and a non-hybrid model. But according to that leaked presentation, where the Venza was basically going to be a two-row version of the Toyota Highlander, we'd only get the hybrid version, which is a 2.5-liter naturally aspirated inline 4-cylinder engine, and that again is exactly what all the rumors have been suggesting for the Venza. And so anyway, in Japan, the front-wheel drive version of that hybrid does 218 horsepower with one electric motor, and the all-wheel drive version uses 2 electric motors and does 222 horsepower. But if we look at our current U.S. market hybrids from Toyota, the RAV4 hybrid with this same engine combination does 219 horsepower, and in the Highlander, it does the same engine but does more power with an extra electric motor and does 243 horsepower in the Highlander hybrid. And since this vehicle is bigger than a RAV4 and it'll be more expensive, I'm guessing it should have more power than a RAV4, so I would bet on this getting the 243 horsepower setup from the Highlander. If, again, this is the actual new Venza, which I'm willing to bet it is, but we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, they all run a direct shift CVT transmission, all these hybrid motors. That's what it would have. But anyway, we'll have to wait and see if that is indeed the new Venza. For some more Lexus speculation here, Car and Driver has yet another report this week, and this one's claiming that the new flagship Lexus SUV is going to be called the LQ. And so their sources say it's going to share a platform and engines with the LS sedans. We're talking big, big, big as far as the size of this thing, and would be having some styling that's inspired by the LF1 Limitless concept, which is what you're seeing here, and would start around $80,000 for the twin-turbo V6 version and go up from there for the V8 model. Since Lexus in that dealer presentation, it sounds like they're not planning on doing any kind of V8, but for anything that's cheaper than $90,000. That's what All Car News was reporting a couple weeks ago. So we'll have to see, but that would mean it'd probably get that new twin turbo V8 from the LCF that's coming, and so that would probably be the top engine in this, and it could potentially be an F model of its own. But anyway, this new model's rumored to be arriving in 2022 and could either replace the LX or be sold alongside the LX, because the LX, whenever we were looking at those product guidelines and stuff, they were saying that the new LX is going to be totally a completely different type of model. So that kind of suggests that maybe the LX will be replaced by the LQ, and they just wouldn't have a truck-based big crossover, and maybe leave the GX for that. But then again, there is some merit to having the LX alongside the LQ. For those who want a truck-based thing to tow and stuff, you have the LX still. For those who want something that's, a little more car-based and road-focused, you have this new LQ possibly. And Toyota did actually already trademark the LQ name, so it definitely sounds like the name is happening most likely. We'll have to see again where it fits in, but anyway, very interesting to hear that from Car and Driver. Another future Car and Driver report here is about the Maserati MC20 that is coming. It's their mid-engine sports car that Maserati has already officially teased several times, and I'll show those pictures here. But the newest info here claims that the debut has been pushed back from May to September due to the current events, of course. But there's going to be awesome once it does arrive, because it's going to have an on-sale date as soon as next year for the US. So this is coming, fairly quickly, and Car and Driver claims it's going to be pretty fun with a new twin turbo V6 that's going to be doing over 600 horsepower, and so that sounds pretty solid. The size of that V6 though is still a mystery, but Car Magazine did a separate report, and they were interviewing Maserati's engineer about the engine it's going to be using, and their response was that displacement only costs pennies but pays back big bucks in power and torque. So it sounds like, we should be expecting something with some higher displacement than, like I originally thought it might just be like a boosted version of the Alfa Romeo Quadrifoglio motor, but it sounds like if, it is something based on that, it would be way bigger as far as displacement goes. The Car Magazine also says a hybrid version is going to be coming after that. That's going to do 700 horsepower or so, and that model will gain all-wheel drive thanks to electric motors up front. And so basically this sounds like it's doing the same type of progression that Corvette is doing, except this is going to be Italian and way more expensive. But very similar type of power, it sounds, and following the same thing with Corvette planning to have, a hybrid version with electric motors up front and stuff most likely as well. At least that's the rumor. Anyway, there's going to be also a fully electric version of this Maserati coming at some point down the road, along with a convertible at some point too. And Car and Driver estimates this first 600 horsepower, base version, I guess, could cost about $160,000. But Car Magazine, they're saying that it could be as high as $250,000 here in the States for this vehicle. So we'll have to see, where they position it. They want to make it, a competitor to the Aston Martin Vantage or something like that, or are they going to go after the really high-end stuff? 250 gets you like a Huracan, something like that. So that, we'll have to see how they pitch it. But anyway, very interesting to hear all that. And those who ordered a Mustang Mach-E got a nice little surprise this week. There is the MachEforum.com posted a screenshot of a dealer training site that shows that all versions of the Mach-E were going to have a little bit more horsepower than originally claimed. So it's between 8 horsepower more to 14 horsepower more, depending on which trim you're getting. There wasn't any info though on the fastest GT version, so this is just for the lower versions of the Mach-E. But like for example, the all-wheel drive extended range Mach-E now does a max of 346 horsepower and 428 pound-feet of torque, and that's the most powerful one aside from that GT model. And Ford hasn't confirmed these new numbers yet, but so it could be a discrepancy or something as well, but we'll have to see. But interesting to hear that. For some not so great Ford news, there's a couple bummers this week. First, for those excited about the Bronco Sport, that has now been delayed 2 months according to Automotive News. So their sources that work in the automotive supplier industry say that the plant in Mexico was supposed to start building the pilot production, like, pre-production versions on July 13th, but that has now been delayed until September 7th. And so no surprise there, unfortunately. The full-size Bronco, though, that was supposed to come a little later. That was, I think, going to be available this winter. So that could still potentially be safe, but we'll have to see, how much everything gets screwed up here over the next couple of months. Anything's possible. So interesting to hear that. For some bad news for European Ford fans, though, Motor One found an interview on the French car website, Cadillac, I think. I will show you the link there if you're curious. But anyway, they interviewed some Ford of Europe executives, and during the interview, it was revealed that there won't be a new generation of the Focus RS, which is kind of a bummer. So recent rumors from Autocar just only a few weeks ago were saying that it could use a more powerful version of the Escape plug-in hybrid's powertrain and kind of boost that up to give it, some impressive performance while still having it, come under the strict CO2 regulations that Europe is imposing on everyone next year. And if they don't meet those, they have those heavy fines. That whole regulation stuff is why Mercedes is getting rid of the V8s and the AMGs, and everything else is going 4-cylinder and stuff, killing lots of awesome cars. And it sounds like the Focus RS just couldn't survive because I guess for some reason it just wasn't financially feasible. If it's a car that's going to sell, just a few thousand models, to have the R&D of completely tweaking that plug-in hybrid set up from the Escape, and then have it be fast enough and have it perform, and then have it, have decent handling since you have all that extra weight. It's just like on and on and on. Again, for a vehicle that they're trying to keep affordable, there's no way it was going to happen, unfortunately, it sounds like. So, I think it's just one of those things. The way things are going these days. They still have the Focus ST over there, though, for those of you in Europe, and they say there's a chance that there could be a faster version of the ST that could, kind of just give it a little bit of a bump, but would not be a full-blown RS model or anything. So that's kind of a shame, and I guess current owners of Focus RSs, though, you probably got a little bit happier because your car will be worth a whole lot more if it is indeed the last RS we see, at least for a long time. I could see Focus RS values starting to skyrocket. I mean, here in the States, we weren't going to get a new one anyway, but for those of you in Europe, I'm expecting the values to, at least stay strong or go up from here. Last little bit of Ford news, though, that's not bad news, is Ford Authority found a trademark Ford filed a couple of weeks ago for the name G.O.A.T modes, with G.O.A.T having periods in between each letter. And so it's obviously referencing something. Whatever G.O.A.T means, not sure. Typically it means greatest of all time. I'm not sure what they would use for the Ford version, but in the paperwork it refers to drive systems comprised of automatic controls for vehicle chassis and powertrain controllers integrated as an integral part of a passenger vehicle. So obviously it sounds like something that the new Bronco and or the next gen Raptor could be using. But I guess it could apply to something like the Mustang or something as well. But I feel like that's more appropriate for the truck crowd and stuff like that. So we'll have to see, but interesting to hear that. Another trademark here, GM Authority this week discovered that GM filed a trademark for a new version of the Hummer logo, which uses a little bit of a different font than the old logo, and looks good, and so cool to see that. The last news story this week here is also another trademark, and this one was discovered by Bimmer Post, and so this shows that BMW has trademarked the X8M name officially, and so we knew an X8 was in the works, and there was an M version probably, because they do M versions of just about everything, and it sounds pretty certain already, again, that this would be something similar to what Audi does with the Q8, and that's probably what's going to be, is a version of the X7 that's probably 2 rows, probably has the coupe back end on it, and for those who I guess think an X6M is not big enough, then you have the X8M here in this crazy performance crossover world we're living in. So it would compete with the RSQ8 or something like that, and hey, give people more options if there's a business case for it. The more performance models, the better. So interesting to see that. Also, I wanted to mention that I am going to be joining Sophion of Redline Reviews, Alex from Alex on Autos, and Roman at the Fastlane Car. We're all going to be doing a live stream that benefits Feeding America, and we'll be on there, and that's going to be happening here this Friday afternoon at 6 p.m. I will link it above. It'll be on Sophion's channel, Redline Reviews. If you're curious to go watch us all hang out and talk cars and join in, that would be awesome. But yes, that's it for all the news this week, guys. So let me know your thoughts on all this stuff in the comments below. Thank you guys very much for watching. Please continue to stay safe and healthy here in these crazy times we're living in, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.